Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Mr. Andrew Meadows.
Colton Brown, how are you?
It's been some time. I'm doing well. We have many things to catch up on this episode.
Yeah.
And let me be the first to say it feels good to be back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle again, as Steven Tyler once said.
Mm-hmm.
He said many times, I suppose. But
the man, the myth, the legend, Stevie Tyler himself. And it's been a few good weeks for me. Hopefully, it's been the same for you. I'm sure we'll talk about it at length at some point during this episode. But yeah, I'm genuinely I'm feeling a little giddy. You know, it's been too long, is what I'll say. And I guess a small apology that I'll issue to our listeners that we've kind of left them hanging basically for, I guess it'll be 3 weeks now by the time this actually goes up on the feed. I think I mentioned the possibility of putting up the bonus episode we did for Patreon a while back. That did not happen. Let's just say I enjoyed vacation. So, I think I had a pretty valid excuse for taking some time off, and I've been keeping busy past vacation as well, which is something I'll touch on a little bit later. So I'm actually recording from a hotel room. I think it's the first time I have actually done so. I am down in the lovely state of Virginia, and I've been put up in a hotel for I guess almost 2 weeks. It's been a little over a week now, but I'll be here all told about 2 weeks for some work related stuff. Again, something I'll dive into a little bit later, but kind of an interesting little fun fact at the beginning. I don't know if either of us have ever.
I don't think I've ever recorded from a hotel. No.
Yeah, I mean, I've changed locales a couple times. I've recorded at my place. I recorded at Anna's place. I think I recorded at our parents' place one time too, and maybe. I guess I've recorded at your place. I suppose you remember that. But yeah, I think this might be a first in Watch, Review, Repeat history. Made it 100 plus episodes in, and now someone's recording from a hotel. Anyway, I'm hoping that the Hilton Premium Wi-Fi keeps up with the
high demands of Watch, Review, Repeat, right?
Exactly. And we're going to have a lot to talk about on this episode, an episode centered around Project Power, another Netflix film that we're covering. Really seemed like the first thing that's probably come out in a few weeks' time that really seemed like something that we had previewed, teed up a little bit on a previous episode looking at news, and so it seemed like a good direction to just dive back into things with. So we'll be talking about that film. But yeah, it's like I said, it's good to be back. You've been keeping well over there?
Yeah, keeping well, keeping busy. I've been well, we're getting to the catching up stuff. I always do that every single time.
So ready to just get right into it. I set you up for it, so it's definitely my fault.
What have you been up to? We'll talk about it later.
I just like to think that I'm being courteous and asking how you are. We do. It's a lot of business here at Watch, Review, Repeat, but sometimes we got to have fun too.
That's it.
So, yeah, I like to check in, mental health and such.
I'm here. I'm alive and well, doing well.
Glad to hear it.
And I've been watching. I've been watching some things, and I watched this thing, and I'm excited to talk about Project Power. Interested to hear what you have to think about it. What you have to think. What you have to say, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I have some things that I thought about it, and I will speak on those in some time. I admittedly didn't ask you to look anything up before the episode, but would you happen to have a fun fact around it?
I actually came prepared. You give me 3 weeks to do an episode.
Unsolicited fun fact. Okay.
So this is more of an interesting thing. Did you know?
Sounds like a fun fact to me. It sounds like you're just consulting a thesaurus, but continue.
There is this cool thing called sonoluminescence. Did you know this?
Sounds familiar, but I'll let you educate me and hopefully some listeners as well.
It's the emission of short bursts of light from imploding bubbles in a liquid that has been excited by sound.
Okay.
So there's this thing called cavitation in water, and it's the collapsing of these bubbles in low pressures, and it causes intense freaking heat super, super hot heat and small bursts of light. Fun fact, I'll get it for you. What's this animal called? Bear with me, I'll tell you. The mantis shrimp. The mantis shrimp is a shrimp that he punches the water, essentially, is what he do. He flings his claws out there. Super, super freaking fast. And he can hit with, I think, the intensity of a 22 caliber bullet. Or with that kind of speed, it probably doesn't have that much momentum or whatever, but it causes sonoluminescence. And the temperatures that it causes can be upwards of the temperature of the sun, caused by this little itty bitty shrimp. If that's not a fun fact, I don't know what the fuck is.
Saying this shrimp could fuck your day up. If it was a little larger, perhaps.
If it was a little, yes. If it was to scale, I think it would cause some serious problems.
Okay.
And they don't know the mechanism that causes the light emission. They know what causes the light, or they know the procedure to recreate the light emission, but they don't know the specifics of why it emits light when in the water whenever it's done. So it's I don't know, it's a pretty interesting thing. Sonoluminescence.
I'm sure some of our listeners have probably seen Project Power, and I'm sure that some of them have not. And I'm going to guess that the listeners that have not seen it are thinking, what does this have to do with Project Power?
It might be like Gherkins. The first fun fact.
It might be like Gherkins. It might just be totally unrelated. It might not be. You'll just have to listen to the episode. And at worst, you learned a cool fact about a mantis shrimp. Like, get over it. You know what I mean?
That's it. Start coming at you with fun facts about animals.
Yeah. New one every week.
That's it.
We'll see. That's a good backup option at worst. Like, nothing really interesting about this movie. Fuck it. We're going to talk about some animals today.
Today on otters. I'll tell you about an otter. Anyways. So that's my fun fact. Sonoluminescence.
Very cool. All right. Sonoluminescence. There you have it, folks. Okay. We have a lot of news. Small caveat, the obvious caveat. It's been several weeks since we recorded last. Obviously, there's been lots of things that have come out in the news. This is not an exhaustive list. It is a long list. I will say that, but it is not exhaustive. There's probably things that I missed putting this together. There's probably things that I intentionally overlooked because I didn't give a shit, and I didn't think Andrew might give a shit either. So there's probably some of that. So if we missed something here, so be it.
Write us and tell us about it.
We'll swing
We'd
back
like
around
to hear
to
about
it. Yeah, absolutely. If there's anything that you think that we overlooked that we shouldn't have overlooked, then drop us a line. Socials, Twitter, Facebook, email, that sort of stuff. So without further ado, let's just plow through this list. Mix of news, trailers. Got a bit of both, and some good stuff in here, I think. So let's start with Pixar, who have announced some details about their next original animated film. It's going to be called Luca, and it is going to be a coming-of-age adventure set in Italy, now set to release in U.S. theaters next summer, assuming theaters are indeed open next summer, which, I guess, side note, it sounds like theaters are open up real soon, at least in states where that is allowable.
They're opening up down here.
Yeah, it hasn't. I don't know if it's quite happened yet as of recording this, but I think probably come the next episode we record, we should be in a post-theater open world, which, we'll have some words to say about that. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, I guess, it's probably all I want to say about it at this current moment in time. But going back to Pixar's Luca, it's going to be directed by Enrico Casarosa, who I think he's listed as doing something called La Luna, which I'm pretty sure was a short film, a Pixar short film. I'm not entirely sure what it played in front of, but it sounds familiar, and I think I saw it. It was in front of Brave in 2011.
Oh, gosh.
So,
that was a while ago.
Yeah, it's been almost a decade, in fact. But I think he's also worked at Pixar as an artist in general. I think that's typically the case. A lot of the short films are usually done by part of the Pixar team, just maybe not members that have had the opportunity to get the big feature film all to themselves. But this certainly represents a step up. He's worked on Cars, Ratatouille, and Up, did that short film La Luna, and now he's working on, he's directing this film here, Luca. He says it's a personal story set in the Italian Riviera where he grew up, and it's a celebration of friendship. So there's a little bit of concept art that came out that looked really gorgeous. I don't know with the animation style if it's going to be close to that concept art. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
No, I'll have to take a look real quick. Let me see here.
Yeah. Go ahead, give it a quick googs. Pixar Luca, and listeners, follow along if you haven't seen this yet. I think it's very bright, colorful. I think it looks great. While you're looking at that, I'll just say Luca centers on a young boy, again living on the Italian Riviera, who shares adventures with his newfound best friend, but a dark secret about his true identity. He is a sea monster from another world just below the water's surface, seeks to threaten that bond. So, a little fantastical.
Is that one picture of them jumping off the thing here?
Yep, that's the one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
I just think it's a really, really striking image. So I'm hoping that colors, style-wise, it comes in looking something like that when the final product swings around to theaters next year. So Pixar, onward. I think we both enjoyed it pretty well. Coco, when that came out, that's the recent one I point to, just being one of Pixar's best in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very good.
Really, really hard hitting, just a super emotional thing, and this feels like something that could hit that Coco level of storytelling where it gets really emotional and deep, and I hope that it hits that. And honestly, Onward did a little bit of that, not as well as Coco did, I don't think, but it definitely hit some emotional beats for sure, and it kind of did a good job with that. So I'm excited to see what Pixar does with this. Of course, we do have Soul apparently coming out in November, I think is the latest release date. Another movie that should have been out months ago, like basically every other movie in existence that was scheduled to be released in 2020. But some Pixar goodness to look forward to. I think that's the bottom line. So sounds good to me. Now, pushing in an entirely different direction, pushing into the horror genre, or at least a spin on the horror genre. Scream 5 is happening. It's been, I think, also almost a decade since Scream 4 happened. Perhaps, I think, even over a decade. I'd have to fact check that. I think it's probably been at least 10 years or very close to 10 years. But the news is that Courteney Cox is going to be back as Gale Weathers, news reporter Gale Weathers, an original character from Scream 1, who I think has appeared in at least the first 3, if not all 4 of them. David Arquette's also coming back as the cop, Dewey. And I don't know if they've said anything about Neve Campbell or any of the other typical mainstays. I honestly don't remember who's alive and who's dead by the time Scream 4 rolls around. But is this anything that you're interested in, a Scream 5? Do you want it? Do you need it?
It's been so long since I've seen a Scream movie, and I don't think I ever saw all of them.
Okay.
I definitely remember Dewey, and I definitely remember the spoof on him in Scary Movie. But that's about the extent of it. I really don't know a whole lot.
Okay. Yeah, so 1 through 3, I think, came out in pretty quick succession, which is, typical of horror films. And then 4, I think, was many years later. I'm looking it up. Scream 1 was 96, Scream 2 was 97, Scream 3 was 2000, and then 2011 was Scream 4, another 2011 film. Almost a decade, like I said. So this one will be pretty spaced out by the time it actually comes out. But I like the Scream franchise. I think when 4 came out, I ended up rewatching 1 through 3 and enjoying all of them for varying levels, to varying degrees, I guess I'll say. But it's it's a fun kind of franchise that I don't know if it's quite like Cabin in the Woods or anything like that, but it's something that takes a step back and pokes fun at the typical tropes of the horror franchise and, tries to do its best to not just lean into them and do the same thing, but actually add its own sort of commentary. And I felt like at least some of the entries have done that pretty well. So we'll see. I'll say cautiously optimistic for Scream 5. this will probably be the last time we talk about it until like a trailer comes out. I think that's what's really going to need to happen here to sell us. But
sure.
I like that they're pulling some original cast members back in. I think that's fun, to have something that will be released, 25 years later, with some of those original cast members coming back. I think that'll be kind of neat to see. So anyway.
That could be a cool, but that'd be a cool. I can't even talk. God dang it! That would be a cool bonus episode, maybe if we
yes,
if we were sold on the idea of a Scream 5.
Yeah, I think we could tab that for a bonus episode. Absolutely, I would. I would like to revisit. By the time that a Scream 5 rolls around, I would be happy to revisit 1 through 4 because it would have been. It would have been longer for you, obviously, but for me, it would still be 10 years or so. So yeah, I think I'm down with that. Now, there's a horror movie that's coming to theaters, I believe, next month as of now, called Candyman, and it's being directed by DaCosta, and she has landed quite the new gig. She is going to be directing Marvel's Captain Marvel 2.
Wow.
I just said Marvel a lot. So yeah, moving from, a very different genre with horror, with Candyman, to Captain Marvel 2. That's definitely a step up, definitely a shift. And to me, it says that Kevin Feige and company have probably seen Candyman and liked what they see. At least he's liked what he's seen anyway, I should say. So, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. She obviously didn't direct the first film that was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. So get some new blood in here to work on some Captain Marvel sequel. Of course, bringing back Brie Larson, but one that will probably take place in a I would presume a modern day, or at least a post-Endgame timeline, so close enough to modern day to count as such. Yeah, I don't know. That's seems like a strong move to me. Do you have any thoughts?
That's a good promotion. She must have something. She must have something, some sort of vision or something. That's all. I mean, I don't. Have we seen a movie that she's directed before?
I don't think so. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is kind of one of those moves that Marvel makes where they get an up and coming director, not one that's established and directed a bunch of things. Like I think Candyman is like her second or third film, I think,
Gotcha.
overall. So This is like a real rapid rise. Yeah, she did a movie called Little Woods in 2019, Candyman 2020. And she did something called Top Boy as well. Or no, Top Boy is a TV. So she directed some TV. So it'll be her third feature film project.
Gotcha.
Captain Marvel 2.
God,
So yeah, that's a step up big time. So good for her. And I'm excited. I just usually at this point just defer to Kevin Feige. I defer to Marvel Studios because usually, they know what they're doing and they bring people in. It's because they know that they're talented and they're going to give them the tools to success. They're not going to hang them out to dry. They're going to be given every opportunity possible to make what they want to. Yeah.
They have the movie making machine right behind.
Yeah. So inexperienced, fine. We've got a second unit that can pick up the slack, or we can teach you, and we've got the money to make these things happen. So yeah, I think pretty cool, and I think. Unless I'm missing something obvious, it'll be the first Marvel film directed by a black female director. So that's obviously pretty huge. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel 2. Would have been looking forward to it regardless, mind you, but I think it's an exciting piece of news.
Also looking forward to Candyman.
So yeah, looking forward to Candyman. I know Jordan Peele's involved with that one as a producer. So yeah, I think.
To be fair, I'm looking forward to movies in general.
That's true. That's true. Is there a movie coming out? Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Except for maybe Russell Crowe's Unhinged. I don't know if I care about that too much. Or the New Mutants. Nah, I want to see the New Mutants, but
not Unhinged.
not unhinged, but yeah. Okay, so sticking with some Disney stuff, Mulan. Speaking of new movies, Mulan's coming to Disney Plus, but not in the Hamilton way of films coming to Disney Plus. Disney is rolling out a new release strategy, shall we say, where you can get premiere access to films like Mulan if you pay a little bit more on top of your Disney Plus subscription. So your Disney Plus subscription runs you what, $6.99, $7, something like that?
Yeah, I mean,
standalone
something like that. Yeah.
Mulan, if you would like to watch it through Disney Plus, will run you a nice total of $30. Count them, $30 US dollars.
USD.
And it is going to be coming to the platform on September 4th.
God, that's kind of steep.
So it's a lot of money, I think. I think the argument goes that, oh, well, if it's a family watching it, then, it's cheaper than what you'd be paying at the theater. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a family. $30 is a fuck ton of money to watch a single movie. And don't get me wrong, this is one of those things where you've got friends. They're effectively your family when it comes to Disney Plus. One person will buy it and share all their shit, and then it kind of works out in the long run. But
right.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I think this is kind of a test for them. If this is successful, if they make a lot of money from this, then great. They'll probably do something similar with the Black Widow, stuff that, whatever stuff that they have basically on tap. Then they'll try to just roll it out the same way. I mean, Disney wants to make their money back. I think Mulan is going to be going out in international theaters pretty soon, since theaters are reopening overseas, where things are theoretically a little safer to do that. So yeah, it's it's nice that it's finally being made available. Mulan is one of those movies, should have come out in March, literally almost half a year ago at this point. And it was one I think both of us were looking forward to.
Definitely.
One I definitely would have wanted to see in like an IMAX, or at least just, a good regular theater. And, I got surround sound. I've got, 4K and watching it at home will be kind of nice as a novelty. If indeed I choose to pay $30 for it, which I guess we have a film and television podcast, so I guess
we're going to pay
have
$30
to have that conversation, and see if we should. But
it's just I don't have an issue. I don't have an inherent issue with release it at home at the same time as theaters essentially that's what a Disney Blu-ray costs, right?
Yeah, I mean, thereabouts, right? Yeah. Yes. They're charging get a 4K for $25 to $30. I'd say
that's what I mean.
Disney are pretty expensive with their home content. They usually don't drop rapidly the way that some other releases do. So yeah, you figure you pay $25 for a 4K release, to own it. So yes, this isn't that far off in terms of price.
But if they take it off the streaming platform, you lose it.
Correct. That I think is the big catch. Is you have to have your subscription. This isn't video on demand in the way that others are, in the way that
I've bought movies on Amazon and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. The other stuff that comes to video on demand through Amazon, etc. You just own that. I mean, I guess theoretically your license could be revoked at any point because it's digital and there's all sorts of bullshit with that. But yes, this is 100% contingent upon you maintaining a Disney Plus subscription if you have any intent of watching it over and over again.
Just kind of horseshit.
It's not a $30 rental. I will say that. If it was a $30 rental, I would say absolutely the fuck not. Fuck you, Disney.
Boycott.
Fuck off.
Nobody
back to your hidey hole. And it's not like I'm going to get rid of my Disney Plus subscription anytime soon. So for me personally, I don't know that it's really a big deal. But I guess also something to consider is if you do, in fact, share your Disney Plus with people, you better make sure you stick with the account that has the Mulan access on it. Although, honestly, what's going to happen is they'll charge you $30 and then 2 months later, that'll just be regular Disney Plus. So it's like...
right.
It's like, do you pay the $30 and it's like early access almost in a way. Disney Plus early access is really what it is. I guess they're calling it premiere.
I had an
access,
argument
so
about
that,
it.
But
I had an argument about it until I said what I said. I said it out loud. Thought about it for a minute. That's what they charge for their normal Blu-rays, thereabouts. But the exception is you don't own it like normal VOD. So I don't know.
I mean, if it was something like where if it was pay $30 and you get early access to watch it on Disney Plus, and then you get a 4K copy, like 4K Blu-ray delivered when it comes out on 4K, I would do that. It'd basically be like pre-ordering with digital content.
And see, I think in that sense, I think you could probably pay. I think you could probably pay. If the normal Blu-ray would be or 4K Blu-ray would be 30 or 25 to $30. You spend $35, we'll ship you one in the mail. You can watch it early access. You spend a little bit more to get a physical copy sent to you, and you can watch it immediately upon purchase. That sounds cool. I'd pay a surplus for that. That sounds real cool.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think that would be closer to the value proposition that you'd be getting if you watch this in theaters.
Exactly.
You figure even if you don't factor in A-list, you're paying $10 to $15 to watch this, depending on where you watch it, how you watch it, etc. Plus $25 to own it on 4K. So you're looking at, $40 and stuff like that. So, if you paid a little bit more than $30 to get that physical copy too, fair. It's about the same value you're looking at in the long run. Whereas I feel like $30 to have access to it and then another $25 to $30 to own it at a later point in time, that's a lot of money. That's even more than it would cost for your entire A-list for a month to watch it 16 times if you wanted to,
And moving forward, do you think it'll be the norm?
I think it depends. I think it 100% depends on how well it does.
If everybody's on board, just Mulan does gangbusters. All sorts of people buy the shit. Right? Do you think it's released in theaters and released at home at the same time moving forward?
No, I don't know if
do you think it's only certain
this
movies?
Is the new normal. I think that this is a COVID normal, thing to potentially expect. And I think theaters, for better or for worse, are probably going to be open for the foreseeable future. And it remains to be seen how well things perform in theaters. Obviously, some of that depends on what's playing. Some of that depends on where you are, what the restrictions are, etc. So there's a lot of factors to consider there. And so I think the real thing is does it become beneficial to just say, let's just do a regular theater experience? Things are close enough to normal that we'll make more money that way, and it's not really feasible to offer this as an option anymore. If we put this as a day and date option to get it on Disney Plus at home, is that going to de-incentivize people to go to the theaters, and we're going to lose money from that? Or are we going to make more money from that? I just think.
Or will AMC cut you off because you do it?
Yeah, AMC's CEO is
fuck
say,
you, Disney.
Hey, and Disney's gonna be like, I'm sorry, are you about to go bankrupt? Are you the ones that made that bullshit deal with Universal? You want to strike up a similar deal? Is that what you want? Yeah, I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I think there's just think Disney is throwing this out there purely as a test program. They want to see, kind of how things shake out with it, would be my guess. They said that they're claiming that this is a one-off, but I fully think that it just depends on so many things of whether it truly ends up being a one-off thing. They clearly are at a point, I think they, for the first time in years, have posted a quarterly loss, which I'm sure most companies are, I would think, except for maybe grocery chains. I don't know.
Fucking loss.
It's come to the point where let's see what works. Let's see what we can generate some revenue with, and we'll go with whatever makes the most sense given whatever day we're on. So anyway, I guess it remains to be seen whether we will hop in on Mulan for that $30 buckaroo price point. But I do want to watch it, so that strongly weighs in its favor.
Oh yeah, we'll pay. I'll pay to watch
if we
Mulan.
could convince a few friends to come in, we can pool our money and figure something out. Maybe that's an idea too, because we're cheap bastards too. But so anyway, September 4th, Disney Plus paid premiere access to the live action Mulan. Okay, let's head over to our first trailer of the evening, a HBO Max original series from Ridley Scott.
Oh boy,
called Raised by Wolves. Let me just kick it to you for a hot minute here. How'd you feel about this trailer?
It's a trailer.
It sure is.
The shit looks a little bonkers. I got some what's that sci-fi one where they go to that dimension that's hell?
The movie?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? I want to say
ship?
The ship. Yeah, they like warp into
Event Horizon? Is that the
yes,
about?
yeah,
Okay.
Event Horizon. I got some of those vibes. Like, it just seems really strange and weird. I'm not digging the actress that's playing the robot there in the beginning.
Yeah,
if they're talking to the kids, it seems just, I don't know. She's killing things with her voice, and she's the bad guy, apparently, it looks like. I'm not quite sure. But it didn't, it's got a style to it. You got to admit that.
It's a very distinct aesthetic.
Right.
I agree.
I don't. The trailer didn't sell me though. The trailer just kind of felt weird. Like I literally said that's a trailer after I watched it. You know what I mean? It's just I didn't quite know what to think about it. Is it a show or a movie?
This is a show, and I didn't realize that until it said series coming to HBO Max towards the end. I think it starts next month, September sometime. I had it up. I clicked away because I was looking at the trailer. September 3rd is when it starts streaming on HBO Max.
I think it looks like it could be very bad.
I think it has strong potential to be absolute garbage. I'd agree. I'm not saying that it is going to be. I think we're probably on the same page in the sense that, like, hey, you know what? Like, it's got a neat aesthetic to it. It could be interesting. It could be kind of bonkers and out there and kind of interesting as a result. But it could absolutely at the same time just be a steaming pile of trash. And honestly, Ridley Scott's name does it no favors in terms of trying to convince me that, oh, this is going to be good. You put a Cary Fukunaga kind of like, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I could see this working, right. Or something like that. But you put Ridley Scott, and I'm like, oh god, Ridley Scott's like, he's done The Martian. That's the only thing, which is granted what they put in the trailer to be like, he did this thing that people liked and was pretty good. But they neglected to mention, I think, Alien Covenant and other shit that Ridley Scott has done most recently. And I'm kind of at the point in my life where I think Ridley Scott is, shall we say, well past his prime. And so, yeah, just the general vibe of the trailer plus Ridley Scott is just worrying. It's just worrying for me
a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to need to cover it. I'm not sure that we're even going to need to watch it. I think this for me is honestly going to be a reviews make or break whether I have any interest. When the reviews start to come in, they're like, yeah, it's kind of shit. I'd be like, yeah, okay, figured, I'll move on. Right. I'll move on. Like, no big deal. No loss to me. It's totally fine, but I watched the trailer and it was in fact a trailer. So I don't know. At least something's coming to HBO Max. I feel like there's a pretty big dearth of original content, I think, on the streaming service right now, which, to be fair, when you have all of HBO's original programming plus a set of movies, you really don't need like HBO Max branded stuff. But this is that, so at least it is something.
Right.
Anyway, ready to move along?
Yeah. No, that's it. That's all I got on that.
I kind of figured. That's not much else to offer. Another trailer. One for a project that I think looks far superior and is also extremely different, mind you, but one that looks far superior. Judas and the Black Messiah. A film coming to theaters 2021 about Fred Hampton, chairman of the Black Panther Party in the 60s, and got an excellent cast here, if I do say so. Produced by Ryan Coogler as well. Stars Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, Jesse Plemons, and there's a brief shot of Dominique Fishback in this, and the trailer, who's the girl in Project Power.
Okay.
Just to bring that up. But yes, I thought this was a very striking trailer, one that really, really sold me on this as being something that has the potential to be pretty incredible. Did you get some good vibes at all from? It
was real good. I like the way they made this trailer compared to the first trailer we watched. It was striking, but for different reasons. I tell you what, the guy that played the dude in Breaking Bad, he's in all sorts of trailers this week, isn't he?
Jesse Plemons is this is not the last time that he will pop up. Yes, in this news section.
I feel like his agent is doing freaking work. I feel like I just saw him in something here recently too. He's been in a lot of shit.
He's been very prolific, I think, within the past, basically since Breaking Bad. I feel like he's done exceptionally well in terms of getting some serious roles, and honestly, he's been great in like everything I've seen him in.
Sure,
he was in Friday Night Lights, which was pre-Breaking Bad, and he was very good in that. But basically, since Breaking Bad, honestly, his character might even be in Better Call Saul. I could be wrong, or I think he showed up in El Camino.
He did
the movie
for sure.
But yeah, I'm looking at just Wikipedia now, and Game Night. He was in Game Night. He was in Vice. He was in The Irishman. I did see him in The Irishman recently. Probably a lot of stuff on TV, if I had to guess. Fargo. He was in one of the seasons of Fargo. I don't remember. Black Mirror. He was in Black Mirror. Maybe that's
yeah. He was in that.
He was like the Star Trek type episode.
Yep.
So I don't know what you're particularly thinking of. Maybe it might have been something you've watched recently that I'm not seeing, but he's been crushing it, and so yes, I'm happy to see Jesse Plemons in things. I'm also very happy to see, honestly, just putting it on the record, you put Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield in the same film.
Oh my goodness!
Like honestly, I honestly am at the point, I think, with either of those actors where I'd watch anything that either of them are in, just based off of their performances and how good they have been in everything they've ever been in.
Sure.
But putting them together and then putting them in this interesting dynamic where you have Kaluuya playing Fred Hampton and then you have Lakeith Stanfield basically playing this
informant?
Kind of informant, yeah, basically, who in a way is kind of shaking, infiltrating, I guess, the Black Panther Party in a way, and co-opting it, perhaps. Maybe that's a better way to put it, in its own way. It's very cool. I just thought that, I think this was a very stylish trailer, and I think that it's dealing with a subject that is obviously more relevant than ever, and looking at race politics, and this country and how it has historically played out. Within this country. I think that this is going to be a very, very timely film that always would have been, but I think now, even if it's coming out a year later, things aren't really going to be shifting. I don't think too much in the near future, such that this will never be timely. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm very excited. And yes.
Sounds like a project movie in 2021.
Yep, I agree. So speaking of Jesse Plemons, he pops up in this next trailer we're going to talk about as well. Netflix film called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Filmed by Charlie Kaufman, director of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, based on Ian Reid's acclaimed novel, which I know nothing about.
No, neither do I.
This is a striking trailer as well, I think. What do you think?
I think out of all the trailers that we're watching, I think that this may be the best trailer.
I thought this looked fucking fantastic.
So did I.
Loved it.
I like the audio design.
Yes.
The way that they clip together all the audio and stuff in it. The story looks incredibly intriguing. It looks fucking cool and thought-invoking. It looks well acted. It looks funny. It looks like it might have some dark humor in it. And I think I'm going to be 110% about this movie. I'm very, 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 very excited about this one.
Right. And so the interesting thing is, I didn't know what the vibe of this movie was going in. And honestly, even coming out of the trailer, I'm still not entirely sure. It's described as a psychological horror film.
I could see that.
But I definitely found myself laughing at certain things throughout the trailer. And in a good way, not in like a, ooh, kind of way, but like in a, ooh, kind of way.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed this. like the way it's shot. I think this is one where it's got a very specific look to it, but one I think that really is just going to enhance the experience of it.
4x3, it almost looks like a Twilight Zone episode.
It has that off-kilter kind of weird feel to it. I am all about it. And there was definitely some horror-ish things in the trailer that it just has a really, really neat ambiance about it. And I'm very excited about it. It's a great cast as well. Obviously, the aforementioned Jesse Plemons, and not to forget the other Jesse Buckley, who's playing the lead character in this. I think the only thing that I've seen her in was the girlfriend in Chernobyl.
Good pull.
I don't know if I've seen her in anything else. But Jesse Plemons' parents are played by David Thewlis and Toni Collette. And Toni Collette in a horror movie.
Gee whiz.
We've seen it once already. I will take it anytime I can get it. So absolutely, yes, please send this one my way. We don't have long to wait for this. I think this is also September 4th. So the good news is we already have Netflix, so we can definitely watch this without paying a $30.
That's a September 4th, but that's coming out.
September 4th, yeah, this is right around the corner.
Yeah, that's incredibly exciting. That's fucking awesome.
So there's like a few things. I think I don't know. There was something else I think that was there's a few things. I think September is going to be pretty decently busy. I can't specifically remember what else I'm thinking of, but I just have this feeling that September is going to keep us pretty busy, which would be good. I'm looking forward to some new stuff. Absolutely. So anyway, let's proceed to the next piece of news. And this is indeed just news. It concerns a all-time, I think, action franchise headlined by Keanu Reeves, the man himself. It is, of course, the John Wick franchise. And we've received word that John Wick 5 has been greenlit, and it is going to film back-to-back with John Wick 4. So
damn,
we're going to have plenty of John Wick heading our way. And I say, yes, please, come on down. Give me as much John Wick as you want. As long as Keanu is game, I'm game.
I will continue to be game, yes.
Because he's so involved in these films. I kind of just feel like he's not going to do it just for the money. Like, I think Keanu will only do it if it actually interests him in some respect.
Does he have a production? Does he have a producer role in this, or any of them?
I'm pretty sure he does, and I think he's kind of maybe, I don't know if he necessarily did in the first one, but I feel like since then he's kind of taken a personal touch to the sequels. I don't know. I don't know if he's actually a producer on it. I'm looking at it now, and I don't actually see him listed. But I feel like,
he's definitely vested for sure.
I feel like he hasn't basically been in there just for the ride. I feel like he's been. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I feel like he's been heavily involved. Maybe it's just because he talks so highly of him, and I feel like Keanu isn't a. I feel like Keanu's a pretty no bullshit kind of guy. Like, he'll kind of just tell you straight up if I'm just doing it for the money. But he always just seems so personally invested in these films.
Right.
And maybe it's just the fact that you can tell how much he puts into the choreography, and maybe that's literally just what I'm thinking of is how he just goes for it with the gunplay. The 3 was fucking horses and knives and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So it just feels like they got to up the ante with every movie. So hopefully it doesn't get too Fast and Furious levels of crazy where it's just yeah, they're superheroes now. You know what I mean? But John Wick has at least always had a kind of element of this, it's the real world, but it's not our real world. It's a bit heightened.
I don't know. I think he's going to get
and all that stuff. So
I think he's going to get a prosthetic limb or something, just something bonkers.
Yeah. If Keanu convinced me, then I'm all in.
Right.
That's what I'll say about that. But yeah, this is really cool. John Wick 4 was previously announced. I almost wonder. I actually don't see this necessarily in the article, but I feel like John Wick 4 was. I think John Wick 4 was delayed at one point. I think it was supposed to come out next year, and then it got bumped a year. So I'm assuming that this was not always the plan. I think they probably just are making this happen as a result of like COVID-induced delays to the point where it's just like, well, shit, let's just keep them around for an extra month and film 2 movies at once, and you know that way we can, just makes everything easier scheduling wise. So anyway, John Wick 5, it's happening, and so is John Wick 4, and safe to say, I think we look forward to the both of them. Next piece of news is about a new television show based off of an old existing property coming to Amazon, centered around A League of Their Own. God, what year did that come out? Have you seen A League of Their Own? I guess I'll ask before Tom Hanks, Gina Davis.
The redhead pitcher, and her sister's the catcher.
Yes, that is correct.
Comedy.
That's the one. Yeah, comedy drama about a women's baseball league.
Yeah, that was an awesome show. I think that's Sarah's favorite movie, actually.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Huh. So then, sounds like you guys might be watching a television show that is based off it. Then
most certainly.
That seems
I'll go ahead and I'll actually take a picture of this news and send it over
and share with her. Okay, yeah. Very good, very good. Yeah, I love A League of Their Own, just as a side note, talking about the film itself. Obviously, I'm a big baseball fan. Andrew is not a huge baseball fan, but I think he can probably still appreciate this film.
Well, I am coming around to watching baseball. I actually have. Sarah's
having, she's sinking her claws, her teeth into you a little bit. She's convincing you. It's okay. Anna converted me into a hockey fan, so I'm right there with you. Just a different sport. I'm literally wearing Flyers gear right now. So
nothing wrong with it, man. Hockey's good too, though. Hockey's a lot of fun. Hockey's awesome to watch.
Just never been my thing. It's never been my thing, and now it's now my thing. So yeah, League of Their Own's great. I love Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is great in it. Gina Davis is great in it. Madonna's in it. Rosie O'Donnell's in it, actually. Great film. So Amazon apparently already shot a pilot for the series, and they've issued a series order. It's being called a reboot. Let's see. It's they're calling it also reboot, reinterpretation. Call it what you want.
Reimagining.
It's intended to have the spirit of the original beloved film while expanding its lens to explore race and sexuality as the series follows a new ensemble of women that are carving out their own paths in the league and outside of it. So, I think it's kind of taken the general concept of it and expanding that and running with it. And I think that's actually a pretty strong approach in the sense that you're not going to do the story better than the movie. Why bother trying? Why bother trying to recast Tom Hanks with someone who is almost certainly never going to live up to being Tom Hanks, because who could? Take the idea. The idea works, and make something new out of it. I think that's really cool. It's very exciting. So, I think this sounds pretty neat to me. Being a fan of the film, being a fan of baseball, and liking the general concept of it, I think I'm in. Would you say that? Independent of any obligations,
I
think other obligations.
I hope they don't get too heavy-handed. Like, I don't want a dark League of Their Own. You know what I mean? I don't want a super serious League of Their Own.
It still needs to be a comedy, I think.
Yes, yeah.
I think I'd agree with that.
You can still touch on the social things. But like I said, I just don't want it to be. I don't want to be club over your head kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure. I agree. I think it needs to. I mean, if they're maintaining the spirit, that means I think it has to maintain the same tone. Yeah. And even if it hits a little heavier on certain aspects, I think that
at the end of the day, it needs to be a comedy.
I mean, the film itself was very much hitting on the concept of I guess we'll say sex.
Sure.
Somewhat gender. I mean, I think it was intended to be pretty gender based at the time, and our understanding of gender is obviously changed a bit over the years, and for a movie that came out in the 90s, it was a little progressive in its own way.
Sure, absolutely.
For sure. And so there's no reason you can't expand the scope of looking at certain themes and ideas and modernizing it, and letting it encompass a broader spectrum of ideas and people than we once entertained back in the 90s. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think it'd be fun to visit for sure.
I don't know if they've cast anyone. I mean, that's going to be a pretty big deal, I think. It's a good cast that they started with, and I hope that the characters are embodied by a cast who, are endearing. I think you need that to make it work. So anyway. Okay, second to last trailer is for another series that is coming to Amazon a bit sooner. Got some footage for this one. First look at Small Axe, which I believe is a 5-part series, if I'm not mistaken.
5 independent movies, it said, I think.
5 independent movies. Okay, so it's a mini-series. Wow, okay. I didn't realize that they were...
I think that's what it said in the trailer. I might be mistaken.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think you might be right. Yeah, that's... I thought this
looked like a really cool project.
Yeah. I
also wanted to look up
We've got about a minute of the trailer. I'm just looking at the YouTube link. Celebrates little-known stories of Black pride and resilience like the Mangrove March. Learn more about what happens when even ordinary people stand up to police brutality and racial injustice to achieve something transformative. I mean,
speaks for itself.
Could you find something that is more on point? Right now. I mean, this sounds like like exactly the kind of show we need right now. To just have out there and telling stories that, and honestly, based on our Florida education stories, we probably don't know a single thing.
I can almost guarantee that we don't know these stories.
I sad but true. I think honestly, but I think it's a great opportunity for the masses like ourselves to learn a few things. What do you got?
There's a website called the Small Axe Project.
Okay.
You seen this?
No, I don't. I don't think I've seen it.
It's smallaxe.net, and it looks like it says, quote unquote, "If you are a big tree, we are a small axe." So goes the Jamaican proverb, famously popularized by Bob Marley. Let's see here. Looks like it's an organization. Small Axe Project is an integrated publication undertaken devoted to Caribbean intellectual and artistic work. That's cool. So it's a Caribbean organization that does artistic stuff, and they have literary competitions and whatnot. I don't know if this is in any way associated with the movie Small Axe.
I'm taking a look, and I don't think so, but I'm assuming that the film or the series, whatever, is probably referencing the same proverb that inspired this project. If you are a big tree, we are a small axe. Here are 5 stories about Black resilience. Like, that's exactly what I think that they're trying to show. So I would imagine that's probably the association, if I had to guess. Good cast in this one as well. Letitia Wright, Shuri from Black Panther, if you didn't recognize her. John Boyega, Finn from the Star Wars, is the Star Wars. You guys might have seen Star Wars. I don't know if you guys heard of it, little project. I think what maybe intrigues me the most, excites me the most about this is Steve McQueen is at least directing, I think, all 5 episodes.
Steve McQueen, I've heard of him before. He's he drove a Mustang.
No, not that Steve McQueen. It's the
okay.
It's the much more talented. Well, I don't know about much more talented, but the very talented as well. British director Steve McQueen, who did 12 Years a Slave, Hunger, and Shame. Those latter 2 with Michael Fassbender, and then most recently did Widows, which I know I saw. I can't remember if
I never saw that
years
one.
ago. Yeah, probably saw the trailer for it.
I think so.
So anyway.
I've never seen. You know what? I never saw 12 Years a Slave. I never saw Shame, and I never saw Hunger.
No,
is Hunger and Shame? Are they? What's the deal with those?
Hunger is about Irish hunger strike in the 80s, I think early 80s sometime.
All right.
Whereas Shame is about I think it's a fictional story about a sex addict portrayed by Michael Fassbender.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So both great. 12 Years a Slave. You can probably figure out what that one's about. And then Widows, I think you saw the trailer for. So, but yeah, all those are great films. And he's writing and directing the Small Axe miniseries. So I think that's awesome.
It is awesome.
Really excited to see how it turns out. Okay. Home stretch. We've got just a few more pieces of news. And we got one that, for me, is both exciting and disappointing. And Disney is finally saying, yeah, you guys like Tron Legacy? All right, we'll do a third Tron. And so evidently we are getting another Tron film. They've found a director for it. It's Garth Davis, who directed films like 2018's Mary Magdalene and 2016's Lion, which I did see Lion. Lion's pretty good. It's with Dev Patel. Received 6 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture.
Oh, wow. I never saw it. Wow. It might be worth watching.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. But not, this is another this is a guy that's never done a big budget thing. Now apparently going to be doing a big budget thing for Disney. So apparently he aggressively pursued the job and won over execs to make this film. So it seems like a personal kind of project for him, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Now, this all sounds great. I'm very excited about all that. What I'm not excited about, what disappoints me a little bit, is who's going to star in this film. And that is none other than Mr. Jared Leto, who I'm sick of and I never want to see in anything ever again. And maybe Suicide Squad is entirely to blame for that. Maybe it's because he's weird and just kind of sucks in general. But man, that is deflating to think. Tron 3, I mean... Just bring back Garrett Hedlund, bring back Olivia Wilde. What's wrong? What's so wrong with just giving me a sequel? Bring Cillian Murphy back, make him the bad guy. It's fine. I don't know.
Well,
I'll still watch it. I still want it. I will take my Tron 3 any way I can get it, but this is not what I wanted. This is not how I never asked for this, is what I'm saying.
I'll take my, I don't know. I got a love-hate relationship with Jared Leto. When he's just really weird.
He's hit or miss for sure.
But when he's good, I think he's really good.
I don't deny that he has the potential to be good as an actor in terms of just delivering a good performance. I think I just personally dislike him in that
because he's
ways.
Fucking okay.
Ways, and so I think that's part of the problem for me. Blade Runner 2049 is an incredible film that also happens to have Jared Leto in it, and that's fine.
Now, when you say star, does this mean that he is going to be? It says he's going to be Ares. Who the hell's Ares?
Yeah, apparently the film is going to be. I forgot about that. It's going to be called Tron Ares. So I don't know. My hope, honestly, is that he's playing the villain.
Yeah,
because I think
that'd be cool.
I could get on board with that more. I don't want to root for Jared Leto. If I can root against Jared Leto, I think I can stomach it a little bit more. I think that's where I stand. So look, it's cool. I'm glad that Tron is finally getting back off the ground. I mean, God, that's another one. It's been a fucking decade since Tron Legacy came out. So
Tron Legacy is fucking awesome. I love Tron Legacy.
And you know what? They better bring Daft Punk back. That's all I gotta say. Oh, yeah.
Some new Daft Punk musics. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, it's been too long now. They still haven't fucking toured since Ram came out. It's ridiculous. Guess they probably wouldn't be touring this year anyway.
No.
Yes.
No. I'd be even probably more disappointed.
Probably a bad year to tour. But I don't know. It's cool. We'll see how this kind of shapes up. Push and pull, I guess. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. You take the good with the bad. And if the good is Tron 3, then so be it. So be it. I'll live. Okay, here's a piece of news here I think that you've been itching to talk about. One that kind of potentially could have some pretty severe ramifications on the movie theater industry as we know it. So what what's happening, or what has happened, I guess I should say, is there was a federal case, I think, brought by the U.S. Department of Justice to terminate a licensing rule that has been in place since the 1940s. A set of licensing rules called the Paramount Consent Decrees. So basically, in the late 1940s, the government pursued an antitrust action against the major film studios of the time, which at the time were vertically aligned with theater chains, which is to say that they controlled the theater chains. They controlled the product that went in there. They controlled all the aspects of the theater chains. So 1948, US v. Paramount Pictures, studios were required to divest from movie theaters. And Andrew, I don't know how much of this you know.
I knew that.
Okay,
but what I don't know,
I'm explaining for the listener to provide some context.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that
happened.
before. I didn't know that before.
Okay.
The current news, but the question is why? Why can you not provide media and exhibit it the way you want?
Well, I mean, I think at the time in the 1940s, it's obviously a different time. You're looking at 80 years ago. The movie making landscape was vastly different. There were fewer places to exhibit things. There were far few it's just a completely different ballgame, I guess, in a way, of fewer film studios. Everything was consolidated to a few major studios. You didn't have any A24s running around. You didn't have these indie type companies. You had big Hollywood, and you had big Hollywood controlling every aspect of making those films, distributing those films, and showing those films. And so that was perceived as monopolistic behavior, and so they busted that up and said, "Hey, you gotta sell your theaters," and then that's how you come to the point where you now have different exhibitors. You have Regals, you have AMC's, and honestly, you're at the point now where really there's only like 3 or 4 major players, really 2 major players, I think, overall in the States, and then you again have some offshoots that are kind of on the perimeter, I guess you could say. But yeah, I actually, I'm not entirely sure why the DOJ decided to file this in the first place. I actually don't know why. All right, I'll just read this. I'm not sure what the impetus was to say, fuck this thing that's been around since the 1940s. We don't want this. I'm not sure what advantage it is to the DOJ to do so, but I'm just going to read what I see from the Hollywood Reporter.
Okay.
They moved to terminate the decrees because in the government's estimation, the total bans on practices like block booking, which is bundling multiple films into one theater license, and quote-unquote circuit dealing, the practice of licensing films to all movie theaters under common ownership, had outlived their usefulness. And so I guess this is kind of a business-friendly type thing. It basically... So the end result, I don't think I've actually said the end result is federal judge ruled on it and said, yep, these rules are gone. They granted the DOJ's motion. The Paramount consent decrees are no more. And so now we reverted back to the pre-US v. Paramount landscape where big Hollywood, studios can now directly participate, own exhibitors. So the one thing that I've seen speculated is just great, now Disney's going to own Disney theaters and Disney movies are only going to be played in Disney theaters and stuff like that, which I don't think is really feasible. I don't think that's really going to happen, especially...
No, they'd be cutting their nose
given
off.
their recent losses. It doesn't make sense. They're not going to make that much money that way. What is interesting is because we're in such a different landscape now, this favors streaming services in a huge, huge way. And this favors huge companies like Amazon, who is in excellent position to buy theaters and take over them. And especially in a time now where Amazon's doing just fine and AMC and Regal are hurting like a motherfucker.
Dire straits. There's a lot of property to be had.
So I think this presents an interesting opportunity for Amazon, maybe Netflix, to get in on the theater game, basically. And I think that's kind of the general gist of what it was, what happened, why that's now changing, what could happen potentially. I'm sure that there is a lot more to this than that, in all of those aspects. So is there anything particularly about it that you're curious about, or you want to speculate about, or anything?
I mean, if the big, I think it's curious that this happens after Universal shows their ass about,
yeah,
right. Or AMC shows their ass about Universal showing their pictures on a streaming platform. That's curious.
Sure.
Now Universal could step in and just say, "Fuck you, we're gonna buy all your property." I mean, it's. I don't know. I don't know enough about the industry to say if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, just in reading the Wikipedia page, it says that the Independent Cinema Alliance and independent filmmakers were against it. They were against this going away. Is that to say that if you're an independent film maker but you wouldn't get purchased, your film wouldn't get purchased by AMC to begin with if you were a small indie filmmaker, right?
Well, I guess it's not so much that
if Universal
by AMC, but
if Universal ended up buying all the AMC theaters, how are you going to get your product out if you're a competing production house?
Yeah, well, I think that's the concern.
And I guess that is a valid that is a valid concern. I mean, in the current landscape,
the concern is a Universal, is an Amazon going to have competitor products exhibiting in their theaters? Like AMC, Regal, all those companies make money regardless of what's in there. It doesn't matter who's going in there. I mean, obviously a cut of that is going back to the studios themselves, but they want the product in there to drive concessions so that they make their money, and they'll get a little bit of a cut from the box office, but not enough to justify opening the doors. And so, yes, if you're in a situation where you have Amazon, and you're an indie, you're an indie filmmaker, and your distributor is so used, you're used to getting distributed everywhere. Are you going to look at a scenario where Amazon says we have enough of our own product that we're going to make enough money for ourselves, and we don't want to give you any money for your shit. We have enough of our own shit. We don't need you. Or does Universal swoop in, buy theaters? Is Disney, God forbid, swoop in, buy theaters and say, nope, we're going to play our own product. We don't need you. We'll make plenty of money without you. I guess that's the concern. I don't know if that's really realistic.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know.
The idea being that, they could get fucked in other ways, in the sense that their share of profits from an AMC or a Regal might be higher than what it would be in a new negotiated contract with an Amazon or a Netflix type thing. Where like, yeah, we'll show your movie, but we're going to give you half of what you used to make.
Right.
And then you might be shit out of luck and say, well, I guess that's better than nothing, because it's either that or we're out on our asses. So I don't know. There's a lot of hypothetical,
just have to see how it plays out. It's a lot of directions that can go with no rules.
Right. Yeah, it can, and it's entirely possible this gets appealed and overruled and overturned, blah blah blah. So this, I'm going to guess that this court battle is probably not over to some extent, but I'm sure that your Amazons are going to start making moves pretty soon.
Your Amazon, your Universals, your whatever, you know what I mean? All these big companies, and the big movie theater chains. I mean, they have significant property value with all the theaters.
Definitely.
So I mean, it could be a move. Could be a move from the movie theater saying, "Hey, listen, we're going bankrupt, and these guys would probably happily take our assets. Hey, DOJ, why don't you remove these rules, because I want to work with the movie theaters. I want to work with the people that produce the movies. We're out."
Yeah, this feels like a ruling that just is purely favoring Amazons of the world, and particularly just Amazon, the Amazon, in the sense that this major obstacle is now removed. And you're looking at a time, again, where Theaters are in dire straits. Amazon is not, will not be for the foreseeable future, has capital to get rid of. Yeah.
Let's buy some fucking movie theaters.
Yeah. I think that's probably a realistic possibility.
Oh boy.
So we'll see how it plays out. We could speculate all night, but
we need to move on.
We got some other things to talk about, and we got a movie to talk about. But two more pieces of news. Last trailer is another Netflix film. Here we go. September 16th, another September Netflix film. The Devil All the Time. Official trailer starring an excellent cast. Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Jason Clarke, Riley Keough, Sebastian Stan, Bill Skarsgård, Mia Wasikowska, Harry Melling, he's back in this one, Haley Bennett.
Big
cast. Really big cast. And what I think looks to be a pretty compelling film. Would you concur with that?
Yeah. Kudos to Homeboy's accent. Sound like a pretty good Southern accent.
Tom Holland?
Tom Holland's, yeah.
Well, he's decidedly non-British in this, and he's also decidedly not from Queens either. So yeah, it's shown a little bit of range with that American accent.
Yeah, does look pretty compelling. It looks like it's going to have a really strong story behind it. Not quite sure what's going on, but it looks emotional and it looks potent, and excited to see it. The cast is unreal. The cast is real strong. So we'll see what happens. When's this one come out?
Yeah. Luca said September 16th. This is,
oh my goodness.
I said that September we're gonna have stuff going on almost every week. It seems like, which is good.
It'd have been nice if they sprinkled that shit through the summer.
Right? Yeah.
Dumping it all in September, but oh well.
What's going on? But yeah, interesting cast of characters. It seems. I can tell that as soon as I like halfway through this trailer, I'm like, this is based off a book. I have no doubt about this. It is indeed based off a book, an award-winning novel by Donald Ray Pollock, I will say, and it gives me maybe No Country for Old Men, like a period-ish version of that, like not in terms of like where the plot itself goes, but just in terms of just kind of this web of characters and just a very stylish kind of tale. Storytelling, Hell or High Water a little bit too.
For sure,
it just gives me some of those kind of vibes, which I like, which excites me. It feels like something that's going to be 2.5 hours long and kind of just thought provoking and interesting, and it's going to knock you around. I think a little bit. I think this has the potential to be very, very compelling, and I hope that the film itself lives up to kind of what the trailer promises.
Jake Gyllenhaal's producing this?
Is he? Well, I didn't know that. That's news to me.
I was just reading bloop, 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 bloop. I was just reading on the Wikipedia page for the book. Let's see. Produced by Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Nice. Well, good on you, Jake G.
Jake G.
Also, small side note, this takes place in Knock'em Ohio, and its neighboring backwoods. And, of course, my first thought was, that can't be real. And, of course, Wikipedia informs me it is, in fact, real. Knock'em Ohio is an unincorporated area located in Huntington Township, Ross County, Ohio, United States, to the southwest of Chillicothe. So, there you have it.
Huntington what?
Huntington Township, Ross County, Ohio.
So, fun fact, I was born in Huntington, West Virginia. And my family's from Chesapeake, Ohio. Knock 'em stiff.
Knock 'em stiff. It's real. It's fully real.
It's fully real.
Yeah. Apparently the novel's incredible. So, basically, if this movie's not good, it's because they fucked it up. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're looking forward to that. September. It's going to be packed. All right, last but not least.
That's only fun fact. That's only an hour and a half from the place I was born, Knock'em Stiff.
Ah, well, there you go. You're real local around Knock'em Stiff.
That's it. Knock'em Stiff. Jesus.
Last but not least, double piece of casting news for one little show on Amazon called The Boys. You know a little bit about it.
The
I know a little
boys.
bit about it. We're going to talk about that in September. Well, we'll talk about it in October when the second season concludes, but it will be debuting in September with its first 3 episodes. So first up, Shawn Ashmore, who played Iceman in the X-Men film franchise, is switching from ice to fire. He's going to be playing a character called Lamplighter, a former member of the Seven, who has some sort of pyrokinetic abilities. So that's very exciting, very cool.
Carries around a giant lantern.
Yeah. He's got. I see a picture, and he's got a lighter. So maybe he's got a lantern at some point too. I'm not sure. And then in other news, looking forward to season 3, Supernatural's one half of Supernatural's main cast, Jensen Ackles, is joining the cast of The Boys, set to portray Soldier Boy. Not Soldier Boy, Soldier Boy. Haven't heard that one in a while. AKA the original superhero in the streaming drama, a character that fought in World War II and became the first super celebrity and mainstay of American culture for decades.
Captain America.
So, correct. Captain America. I'm not sure if he just doesn't age or if it's going to be purely flashback type thing, but you know what? I'm all in.
In traditional boys fashion, I imagine they figure out how he has superpowers, and they just like string him up and like just drain him for like hundreds of years. They just keep him. That's where all the juice there's some juice in the boys. So it's honestly that's not the most far fetched theory I've ever heard. Seems like that would be boy fashion, anyways. So
it would indeed. So looking forward to The Boys season 2. Looking forward to The Boys season 3. And looking forward to talking about Project Power with you right now, if you're up for it. You still with me?
If I could rap, I would do the rap for the Project Power.
Okay.
But
you can't, is what you're saying. So
right.
you will not. Understandable. I will also choose to not do so. So Project Power. It was written by Mattson Tomlin, directed by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman. Stars Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Dominique Fishback. When a pill that gives its users unpredictable powers for 5 minutes hits the streets of New Orleans, a teenage dealer and a local cop must team up with an ex-soldier to take down the group responsible for its creation. I think you and I watched this yesterday.
I watched it yesterday.
Netflix.
Yep.
This is a Netflix film, worth mentioning, a Netflix original. I think when we talked about it before, we realized that it was filmed like 4 years ago or something like that. So it's just been sitting in a vault somewhere for a while. And right? Netflix is like, pandemic?
Now's the time.
We got this. So yeah, it's finally out. We have seen it, and we have thoughts. Let me ask you your thoughts on it. I'm curious to see where you stand.
So I think if I remember right, I was kind of just unimpressed with the trailer. I didn't think it was really.
Yeah, I think it was the opposite. I think we both dug the trailer. Did
we dog it?
Amount. I think we dug it, not dog.
Oh yeah.
I think we liked what we saw from the trailer. At least I recall liking what I saw from the trailer.
Maybe we did. I liked this movie. Thought it was totally okay. I thought it was more entertaining than the last Netflix action movie I watched.
Which was The Old Guard, I assume?
Which was The Old Guard.
Okay.
I think the IP is less interesting. I think the idea is less interesting. But I found the execution more interesting on this one. It was filmed very aggressive, like a real aggressive, like...
It was very aggressive.
Super aggressive freaking film style. One that you don't see very often. I don't know if that's because it's bad film style or if it's just... Like, I feel like they tried to be super stylish with the way they shot things, and sometimes...
There's a few times. I think it worked in some ways, and it didn't work in others.
Exactly. It's just kind of... It's about the way I felt about it.
You know what? Not to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Anyway. It reminded me in some ways of the Crank films. I don't know if you got those vibes
yes, it
at all.
did, for sure.
Just the way it was shot, like a very high-paced, kinetic type.
Like, I'm going to throw this camera like right up in your face, and then I'm going to back it off, and then I'm going to flip it upside down.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
And like, I think I recall liking that with Crank. I don't think I liked it with its sequel, and I didn't like it with that Ghost Rider movie those guys made. It was very much that. So if you've seen any of those films, that might be a clue as to how you might respond to the filmmaking style of this one. So anyway.
That's it. It seems like they put some money in the effects. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was real stylish and a lot of CG and stuff. Some of the effects look better than others, admittedly. There's one character that looked pretty bad, I thought. You know, I thought it was a...
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in spoilers.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff to talk about in spoilers. Overall, this movie's okay. I think Jamie Foxx is entertaining to watch. That girl, what's her name? Which one is
Dominique
she?
Fishback.
Yeah, I thought she was pretty cool. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's I always enjoyed Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So overall, and there was that one dude. I don't know his name. I forgot what movie he was in. He's a bad guy. What's the bad guy's name?
Is it? Is he the one that's like pushing the product? You know, to the distributors. So I think you're probably thinking of Rodrigo Santoro, who was in Westworld.
Yes, that's exactly who I'm thinking of.
Also Xerxes in 300.
Also Xerxes, he is, isn't he? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Looks a little different in that. To be fair. Looks a little different in this one too, to be fair. But
it's just an entertaining movie. I thought it was just an average summer blockbuster is what I think about it. The filmmaking style is very different than, a lot of other movies, than maybe like 99% of movies.
Yeah. Sets it apart at least, I guess. In a way.
Aside from that, though, it's got its hook. It's got its little thing about it's got its hook about the pills causing superhero powers and stuff, and what that landscape looks like if out of the blue people started getting superpowers and some didn't, some just exploded. I don't know. It's okay. What'd you think?
So I one caveat of watching this film, which I think hampered my experience of watching it, is I watched it in a hotel room, and I used it. It's the first thing I've watched. Probably the first new thing I've watched in a long time on TV speakers, and that was underwhelming. And I really actually think that hampered my enjoyment of this film to some extent, probably to a great extent. I don't think that this film is good to begin with. I don't think it's bad, I guess. I think it's fairly competent in what it is and what it tries to do. But I just felt like this had an interesting concept they did very little with. It really, what it reminded me of? Not to the same extent, I think what I'm going to say is a little bit more egregious in taking a concept and not using it to its full potential. It kind of reminded me of The Purge a little bit. At first, The Purge was this whole idea of all crime is legal. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can kill everyone you want, blah, blah, blah. And so they have this first movie that takes place entirely within one house. You have the entire country in which shit is popping off, chaos is happening, and you decided to set your film in one house.
Right.
And it just felt like, oh, that's a budgetary restriction. This one here it's not restrictive in terms of geography. Just to me, it felt like here's the concept of you have this magic drug that can give you superpowers. And it just felt like this film was limited in terms of using that concept to its full potential. There's a few superpowers we see here and there, but I feel like they're used pretty sparingly. Sometimes when they're used, the effects are clearly not there for what they're trying to do. And I think it's absolutely, again, a budgetary thing of, hey, we've got $80 million to play with, which isn't, it's nothing to scoff at. And it's not to say that they don't use special effects. There's a lot of CG in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But I just kind of felt like it felt like a much more interesting concept on paper than the way it was executed. It just felt like it was so limited in terms of how they really explored how that worked. And I felt like plot-wise, it had to be built around those limitations, and that held it back quite a bit for me. I just felt like there wasn't enough to end most of these characters or to the plot. Like there was just very little forward momentum in most of this movie for me. Like I didn't understand why anything was happening, and I didn't know why I was supposed to care about anyone. And I just didn't think the movie did enough to lay the groundwork. It just thought this concept is neat. That's enough, and it wasn't enough. Like I don't think they made us care about the concept or the implications of it because it didn't explore that with any sort of anything. I think that's kind of where I stand on. To me, it just felt like wasted potential.
Just a half-baked idea is what you think, or
it was a half-baked idea, and I don't know how much of that was the original script was amazing and they had to cut it back because they needed to film it, or if it was just they just didn't really flesh it out because they knew that they wouldn't be able to film it. I'm not sure where it is. As it stands, it's competently made in the sense that, you know,
like it or hate it, it's got a style of its own.
It's got a style of its own. It's unique. There's a vision to it, I guess you could say. For me, again, I found it more jarring than anything else in terms of the filmmaking style. Most of the time, it didn't work for me. I just kind of felt like it took away from the experience of just being like, that's a choice. You know, like when certain shots were just like, that's a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and not a good one. And sometimes it was fine. But I also kind of just felt like, you know, for a film that really, really could have taken these sets of powers, these superpowers, and constructed some really, really interesting action sequences out of them, I found that most of the choreography was confusing and poorly edited and didn't really capture the essence of what those powers could have looked like. Like, and you said that you liked this more than the old guard, and I disagree. I mean, I think
like the old guard a lot more.
Was definitely better than this. I felt like the old guard had a more interesting concept that could have been fleshed out more too. For sure, and there was definitely some plot things about that were a little silly and a little dumb, given its conceit. Mm-hmm. But I at least felt like the action in that was very coherent and well directed.
It was,
and this one for me, it didn't do any one thing particularly well. Like I think you know it could have taken that extraction approach of doing the action really well, and everything else is kind of subservient to it, and that's fine. This, to me, nothing really elevated the film in the sense that there wasn't one thing that like its shining point was, here's this cool concept, but I just didn't think it did enough with that to elevate the subpar aspects of the film overall for me, I guess.
No, that's fair. I think that this one's just more stylish. It was more. I found it more entertaining to watch just because it was.
I mean,
more flashy. It's more flashy.
It's definitely flashier. I'll agree with that. Without a doubt.
It's you did not. It's got some good bass and whatnot because of the hip hop. And
I do think missing out on some of the sound. Yeah, this is a film that I think some of the action probably would have popped more if I could hear it, you know, with a little bit more.
Yeah, there's certain characters and stuff that made a considerable amount of noise, you know, and the sound design was pretty decent. The sound design was fine in the old guard too. I think it's worth saying that Extraction is so far the pinnacle of summer Netflix action films.
I'd agree.
So, I mean, that's kind of the bar. I think that Netflix
set the bar. It set the bar in April, and they haven't been able to hit that purely in terms of action.
Right.
You know?
I think even in story, really too. I mean, Old Guard had a cool idea, but it really wasn't fleshed out a whole lot. You know, this had a cool idea that was probably fleshed out less. This went with the conspiracy theory, Alex Jones kind of thing, and you know that's okay. But like I said, I think it's definitely a subpar story for sure. There's no real characterization. It's just all action and it's style over substance for sure. I just happened to enjoy this. I just happened to, like I said, it was just more flashy. It was more flashy to watch versus Old Guard.
I don't know. It just never clicked for me.
No, I understand it.
With that said, I like Jamie Foxx. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't think either of them really did a whole lot
They
to impress me in this film.
No, but they
thought
were fun to watch.
I didn't dislike either of them because purely on the basis of I like both of these actors. I think they're usually very good. I'm going to give them a pass on this one. Not that they turned in bad performances, but they just did, again, nothing to work with, did nothing to elevate what they had to work with.
Right.
And that's fine. You know, you can't ask actors to take material that doesn't really jump off the page and to work magic out of it. That said, I did think Dominique Fishback was the best in this movie. I thought she was great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was really, really good. A really fun addition and a character that in some movies could be the most annoying character.
No, she was by far the most interesting. She wasn't bad. She wasn't bad at all. I didn't think she was. Yeah,
good. I just feel like you can have like this younger teenage character who's scrappy and is like a sidekick type character, and I'm like, that's a recipe for being annoying to me, like just on page. But I thought she was excellent, and I thought the wrinkles to her character were very interesting. They gave her a little bit of a backstory, which is mostly non-existent. There's just there's some references to it at the beginning. They go back to it at the end. Great, but
open, close, done.
Right. I just think that her character was kind of the one thing in this movie for me that actually really, really worked well. I think she was great. I think it was a great performance, and I think it was the character that really had the most interesting anything of any of the characters.
She was by far the most. I guess the story did. The story centered around her, although it had Jamie Foxx's story, I guess, interweaved into it.
Yeah, I just didn't find Jamie Foxx's story. I didn't care about it. And I didn't really care about Joseph Gordon-Levitt's story because he's just kind of a cop responding to things, and it's just like,
okay.
Yeah. I think she was the most interesting. She's the drug dealer. Teenage drug dealer, like, making money off of this pill that turns people into superheroes for 5 minutes. Like, honestly, that's a pretty interesting premise. Like, why is she there? What's the implications of that? What does that mean for her? There's a lot of stuff that you can really draw out of that character. And it's not to say that they hit on everything that you could have drawn with that character, but they definitely spent the most time dealing with that, and I thought that was interesting. All in all, it's a stylish film, right? It's got some action in it. It's, for me, that was hit or miss. Some of it worked better than others. Got some superpowers, again, hit or miss. Some definitely look better than others.
Yes.
And you got a pretty charming, if nothing else, trio to follow. And so there's never a point where characters are really unlikable. There's never a point where characters are like hard to watch. I just was never interested. It just didn't grab me. And I also just didn't think it. There's a pretty flashy sequence towards the beginning of the film, which is kind of like maybe one of the more interesting action sequences in it. But I just felt like plot-wise, nothing made any sense until about 30 minutes in, and that's too long. For me, that was too long for me to understand why does this movie exist other than look at this cool idea. And I really feel like the filmmakers thought that was enough to sell people. And granted, in COVID 2020, Netflix,
the bar's set pretty low.
It probably is. It probably is enough for people to just say, yeah, fuck it. I'll give it a free pass and see if I dig it based on this kind of interesting concept. And I just wish it did more with that. So I feel like I'm kind of sounding like a broken record at this point, but it felt like it was on the cusp of being something pretty interesting, and it just didn't quite hit the mark for me personally anyway. So it's kind of where I stand on it. Do you have any other non-spoiler thoughts?
No, there's some stuff to talk about in spoilers though.
For sure. So quickly, recommendation, where are you going to stand on our 5-tiered scale? We have very yes at the top, followed by yes. Totally fine is the middle ground. Fine, a notch below that, and then at the bottom rung we have shithouse. Where are you going to land on Project Power?
I'm going to say fine.
Okay, the second from the bottom.
Second from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I view these. When I say these, I'm referring to the old guard. I think that I personally feel like these are two movies on the same coin, just different sides of the coin. They're just like, for example, if a sequel came out to one of these movies, I would feel I would be hopeful that Old Guard got better because it does have a more interesting universe, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd be more eager to revisit that one. But I think that they're executed. I really felt like they were executed about the same. They gave me something to watch for an hour and a half or whatever, and that was about the extent of it. So
yeah, sure.
It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's an action movie. Netflix action movie. September, Netflix is going to be doing work. I'm excited to see Netflix do work in September.
They just needed to throw something in August to say, the real shit's coming in September, but here's a little something to keep you settled for a little while.
And so they got me settled. It's fine. It's something to watch for an hour and a half or whatever if you want to watch a pseudo superhero movie. So
superhero adjacent, I suppose. Superpowers more so than super.
Superhero adjacent.
Yeah, I will also say fine. For me, it's not shithouse by any stretch of the imagination. It's well made enough that alone is enough to carry it. I just think that for me, it just didn't hit the mark in the ways that I hoped that it would. Not that I was expecting anything grandeur or anything, but it just wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. So I'll say fine with, the point being that, hey, make your own opinion. It's on Netflix. Everyone's got Netflix. Your mom's got Netflix. Your brother's got Netflix. Your sister's got Netflix. Your daughter's got Netflix. You have ways to watch this movie, and it's a decent enough diversion that if you're looking for something to watch and you have an interest in this genre of superpowers, superheroes, whatever you want to call it, then you give it a go. See what you think. But don't say I didn't warn you, I guess. So anyway, let's move on to full spoilers for Project Power.
Project Power.
So there's a few things to talk about here. It was when Rodrigo Santoro turned into Mr. Hyde from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, I thought the same exact thing. That was freaking hilarious.
I think they took the model from that film and reused it. They ran out of budget and said, "Shit, see if someone has some assets of a Hulk-like creature, but not the Hulk because we can't afford that. What's another instance of a character that is turned into a large man with very veins popping out and looks absolutely ridiculous? LXG? Yeah. Let's contact
oh my goodness.
Universal, is it? Yeah, basically. That was horrendous. It was fucking horrendous.
Even like the layering, like at one point, like it looked like maybe he was like in between like different things. Like, he's trying to escape the small room, he's chasing those people, and it looked like he was kind of like phasing in and out of stuff. Like it just didn't look layered properly. It looked really bad.
It was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was bad. But they blew him up pretty quickly, and that was pretty funny.
They did blow up. They ran out of budget real quick there, and they're like, nope, we got to conceal this as much as possible.
He effectively did nothing. That guy effectively did nothing. That's one thing about this movie. The villains in this movie suck ass. Like they're just pointless. Nobody does anything.
Like who's that woman? Like why do I care about her? Who is she? What are they doing? Like the whole point is like the government is testing the drug that's going to give people superpowers on the streets of New Orleans. And it's like that feels like I guess you could make a commentary out of that of like the government doesn't give a shit about its people. Like yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but it does nothing with that. And it's like, who is this nameless woman that abducted Jamie Foxx's daughter? And who is Jamie Foxx's daughter? Why, who is she? Like, I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The only person we know anything about is Dominique Fishback's character. I don't even remember. Robin's her name.
That's it.
She's the only character in this entire movie that has anything that even resembles a plot. I mean, like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's just like, well, government's fucking with us, so
they don't care about our people. I care about the people. I'm gonna take the drug and help out.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but this movie also takes place in New Orleans. I'm not sure if that was made any apparent to you at any point in this film.
They wear New Orleans hats.
Other than every 12 seconds they had to show you something from New Orleans or make a Saints reference or something. I don't know if you were able to figure that out, but just in case, I'm letting you know.
They talked about hurricanes a lot too.
Mm-hmm, they did. Yeah, I just the writing in this movie is really where it fails, I think. And you know, more specifically in spoilers, it's just these characters got nothing. Like there's just no sense of anything to anyone. It's just there's just nothing. There's just nothing to go off of, and that's kind of, I don't know. I mean, if it felt like they set up certain things to talk about and certain things to hit on, and they're just like,
They forgot
turn
about it.
Turn this guy into Mr. Hyde.
Done.
Yeah, villains are bad. I agree with that.
That guy that caught on fire was pretty crazy.
Yeah, Human Torch.
Yeah. But he kept. Yeah. So him and Robin are cousins?
Yeah, I guess so. I was confused as well. I was just like, so are they cousins? Are they cousins? Or
right?
Like what's happening here? Yeah.
Also,
fine, whatever.
I found was he under heat lamps in that room?
I
do you remember
know.
it was all red in that room? It looked like I swear it looked like heat lamps. It looked like he had heat lamps everywhere. But if his power was thermal, they called it thermal regulation.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what happened when the heat lamps went away for the girl. She froze to death, and she,
right.
That other guy, when he got cool, he exploded, which was weird.
I don't know. I really don't know what was going on there. I thought the sequence itself was cool, and I liked, the kind of points where he like went out a few times and then kind of reignited. Like I thought that was kind of neat. And
don't try to understand it though.
Yeah, he explodes. There's a few exploding people in this. There's the one guy that just explodes immediately when he takes the pill.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I laughed about
which was
that.
Funny. Yeah, there's a couple of points where it's almost the boys-esque, but not quite there. Just in terms of like hyper violence and gore.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I did like the guy that gets impaled on the
dragon
ice fountain drink receptacle.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the fountain. Yeah, that was fun. Kind of liked that the slow build of the blood going. It was a little over the top, but I thought that was fun. It felt like that fit the vibe of the movie, and I kind of liked that part of it. Yeah. What other powers we got? Frank, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He's not quite Luke Cage because he's got a fucked up eye through pretty much the entire film after he gets shot in the head, but pretty impervious to bullets. You got the chick that freezes in the cage.
Yeah. You also have you got the guy with the bones that come out of his arms and stuff.
Yeah,
which
I saw some.
That was kind of stupid too because it was his bones. Yet he's causing sparks on the side of shit. He's cutting pipes in half.
He's cutting through fucking
steel and shit.
He's cutting through steel. Yeah, and I'm just like, look, bone's pretty strong, but like bones break pretty easily too, to be honest. And it's like
he drives it into the ground and it sticks in the ground.
Like they turned him into Wolverine without realizing. I mean, granted, Wolverine has had bone claws in many iterations in the comics, but like his bone claws break in the comics too. And it's like only when he has adamantium laced claws is he actually able to just cut through anything, basically.
Right? They forgot that.
And like they forgot that part of it. Also, it was just kind of goofy. And like I saw someone online who was just like, why did this guy start fighting him with his bone claws when he had a gun? He could have just shot them from above, like multiple times. And it's just like, yeah, it's like they just wanted the spectacle of, look at this bone claw man.
The best villain of all, though, was the fucking guy that he pops his joints out of place and he was all stretchy.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
That guy was by far my favorite.
Oh, you know what I did like, actually, was the fucking Invisible Man robber. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Cool. Yeah,
that was a good sequence. I liked, I guess it was more like a chameleon camouflage type thing, but
it was animated pretty cool. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked that. Was visually very cool. I thought that was actually pretty neat. So, this movie did a good job of introducing, like, you get Jamie Foxx with the Human Torch thing, you get Gordon-Levitt getting shot, dealing with the invisible chameleon guy. but
And they
there's
seem
nothing
like
really beyond
cool, aside from Jamie Foxx, which had a really weird power.
well, you wanna close the loop on that one?
He talked about he called it something else. He called it a shrimp.
Called it a pistol shrimp, I believe.
A pistol shrimp, which pistol shrimps do. Pistol shrimps are real, and they make loud noises. But I don't think that they. I'm not so sure that they produce sonoluminescence. I'm not sure. But in searching around for the pistol shrimp, that's when I found the mantis shrimp.
So the mantis shrimp is like the pistol shrimp, but like more legit in terms of the sonoluminescence.
He straight up, like, you can if you record a mantis shrimp with a high speed camera, you can see him producing light in water with his freaking fists.
I'm looking it up, and apparently pistol shrimp also it's a very similar kind of capability. So I guess it's shared by both types of shrimp.
Oh yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
Oh okay, all right. And there's so much we don't know about shrimp.
Yeah. Well, we'll save the pistol shrimp trivia for next episode.
That's it. So, that was, but he was throwing it's not that he was moving fast, was it? It looked like he caused he was causing like earthquakes and shit. And then he was just like throwing plasma around. Like his powers didn't make any sense at all.
I had no idea what the fuck was going on during that sequence.
No.
Truly had no idea.
That was very weird. All the other powers felt like, kind of felt like the boys in the sense that they seemed like
well, they were like pretty obvious riffs on just general superpowers that we've seen before, right?
Yeah, and they seem relative. It's not that they seem grounded, but they seem like the guy that was flexible. He wasn't stretching all over the place. I mean, he just popped his ligaments out, and he was stretchy, but I mean, he could dislocate his bones and stuff. The strong guy.
Plus, there was that.
Go ahead.
The strong guy was strong. I feel like they had that one scene where it was just like, look at what these animals can do. And like, that was like their explanation was just like, these are things that animals can do. Now humans can do them as a result of this. Like, it's just in your genetic code. It's in your DNA. You just got to unlock it or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Unless you don't have that genes, then you just explode, apparently.
Yeah, that's you just, you're recessive. Sorry. But yeah, I don't know what type of genes Jamie Foxx had, because he just straight up fucking exploded.
He had some pistol shrimp genes, apparently. I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was happening. Like, it just felt like slow motion. Everything turns kind of blue and bubbles everywhere, and people are like melting and shit. And I was just like, I truly cannot follow what's happening here.
I don't think they
fine.
They didn't try.
I knew
to
that they were.
it.
I knew they were going to set up that like he had some sort of god type power, and he didn't want to use it because of its destructive capability. Like that was so phoned in from the beginning of just being like, the end of this movie is Jamie Foxx taking a pill to use his big mean power. I mean, there was never a chance of that not happening, basically, and it did. So this movie is exactly kind of what you'd expect in that regard. But I just.
His daughter grows things, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand that. She was trying to heal her dad, and it looked like he was trying to make a plant grow in his head or something, and it didn't. It didn't make any sense either. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Photosynthesis. I truly don't know. I don't know. I kind of, it's just not great. It's not the worst. It's just not great. It's kind of fine. I guess it's mildly entertaining if you're in the mood for it. But and
to be fair, I was in the mood for it last night.
Yeah,
I sat there and had a beer and watched it and enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Turn your brain off for 5 seconds.
For sure. I will say, and I can't remember if this was my impression from the trailer or not. But I did. In looking at conversations about the film, a lot of people thought that the general premise was going to be different in the sense that basically what you have here is the setup of Inhumans, more or less, where in Inhumans, each person has, if they, have the right genes, they go through Terrigenesis and their superpower is unlocked, right?
Or they live or they die, right?
It was always within them, and they either get it or they don't. They die. And it's basically that. When people thought it was going to be, you don't know what, like, each of these pills is going to give you a random superpower. It's like the jelly beans from Harry Potter. It's every flavor, and you don't know what flavor you're going to get. And so the idea being that you take each one, and each one's like, it might kill you because you don't know what it's going to do to you, or you might be Human Torch, you might be, Iceman the next time you take it, you might have super strength the next time you take it, you might learn to fly the next time you take it. No one flew in this movie.
Oh.
They forgot that birds existed, apparently.
Yeah, it's but the so they were talking about each pill gave a pill gave a particular power, not the power that was within you.
Yeah, basically, instead of the pill unlocking, your true power, you just get a random power for 5 minutes, which I think could be way more chaotic, could be interesting. It could be, it's an opportunity for a main character to just die 2/3 of the way in completely unexpectedly because they blow up.
That'd be pretty.
I think it's a different movie. I think it's like a more over the top comedic film, but I almost felt like the sensibilities of this, like you get the Crank guys to do that movie. Honestly, that would be a better version of this. I think.
It's true.
I don't know. I kind of like that idea though. I didn't like how restrictive some of this was. It was just being like, these, stop bullets. Whatever. Okay, cool. I mean, I guess they at least got a little creative with Jamie Foxx. He's a shrimp.
Doesn't make any sense. But he's not a shrimp. He's causing earthquakes and
he should have grown a claw when he takes his pill and and then there's reverberations and then like shock waves that come out from the claw and then it starts melting flesh, Indiana Jones style. That would have been excellent.
Lord, the movie that could have been.
Anyway, I got nothing else.
I've got nothing else on that. What have you been up to, man, for the past 3 weeks?
Well, I've been up to a few things. Quite a few things. I went on vacation. I think I think I talked about it earlier in the episode, and I'm pretty sure I talked about it at the tail end of the last episode we recorded. I went up to Vermont, my first time in Vermont. Stayed at a camp owned by Anna's grandpa. Basically, it's been in the family for, I think, close to 100 years, if not exactly at that. And she's been going there all her life. She loves it up there. She says it's her favorite place on earth. And it's really nice. Vermont is very lovely state from what I got to see just driving through and experiencing what I could. Basically, there's a private beach, on Lake Champlain, basically a street over from where the camp is, and it was really nice. Spent a lot of time on the beach, soaking up some sunshine, reading some things. It was really relaxing. It was a relaxing vacation.
Sounds nice.
A lot of time on the beach, sometimes swimming in the lake. Small E. coli scare, but I think everything was okay. Oh, there was a tropical storm that ran through the Northeast.
What?
So we got some serious. Apparently, Philly got hit pretty hard, and surrounding cities and PA got hit pretty hard by, I think, the remnants of a tropical storm that kind of swept through. So Vermont got hit with quite a bit of rain on one of the days, and so that kind of turned into an indoors day, which was fine. And yeah.
That's crazy.
The water level changed dramatically in the lake. The temperature of the water got a little bit cooler, and I think some E. coli came a little closer to shore. So when they did testing, there was like a high level of E. coli. But I think by the time we actually swam in it, it was fine again, basically, more or less, kind of equalized. But yeah, it was a great vacation.
Hold on really a second. Nice E. coli in the lake?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a thing. I thought E. coli only came on your food.
Nope.
So how did you know about E. coli in the water?
The city, I guess, does like regular testing of it and kind of posts the results on a city website.
So it's like a real problem there.
Well, I don't think it had been. I think that's the first time it had happened in quite some time. I think it's been a pretty dry summer, so the water level was pretty low. The water was pretty warm when we got there, and really once the rain came in, it cooled it down, brought the water level a bit higher. And then the E. coli, but anyway,
didn't know that.
It's totally fine. Didn't experience any symptoms of E. coli in my system. So, Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say on it? It was just very relaxing. Got some reading in. I guess I can talk about that. I finished the first arc of the New 52 Batman by Scott Snyder, Batman: The Court of Owls, which was very, very cool.
I thought that was a video game.
Well, so apparently it's going to be a video game.
Oh.
Allegedly. So they haven't officially announced it. They're supposed to do that DC event, DC Fandom, in like a week's time, something like that.
Right.
And they're doing like a Suicide Squad game, and then the rumor is they're also doing like another Batman Arkham-styled game about the Court of Owls.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, the Court of Owls are basically like, these high society people that have had watch over Gotham City for generations, and Batman is their latest target, and they've had some run-ins with the Waynes in the past as well, and they have this assassin called the Talon who fucks Batman up pretty good. But it was a cool arc. The next arc is called the City of Owls, so it's kind of a continuation of that, so it hasn't fully been resolved at this point. So that's as far as I got. It was the first 7 issues of the run. So I enjoyed that. I read a book called A Colony in a Nation by MSNBC's Chris Hayes. I don't know if you ever watch All In. Television
I know
news
Chris
program.
Hayes. Yeah.
You know Chris Hayes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he wrote the book. Basically, the idea, it's about the idea of policing and the way our nation is divided in terms of race, in the sense that there's a colony where it's predominantly minorities who are policed in a very different manner, and then they're within this nation of effectively white people who enjoy a lot more privileges and stuff. And it's just kind of looking at the race dynamics through that particular lens of, this is a colony, much like the colony that the United States once was, the original colonies under Britain, just kind of looking at how the colonists got fucked over because they could. And much like that, minorities, black people in particular, get fucked over because that's just the system. And so it's not anything particularly novel in terms of like saying like, hey, this is a bad thing and this is how this is happening before our eyes and has been happening forever. But it was an interesting kind of look at that, and in a way to kind of analogize it that I thought was very interesting. Right. It's a short book, short read. I think maybe a couple 100 pages, more or less. So it's a recommended read. Anna lent me a copy of it, so that was appreciated. So yeah, that was cool. So I did some reading while I was up there. I guess
nice,
catching up on that. Since vacation, back to reality a little bit. So the reason I'm at a hotel in Virginia is because I'm working down here. I'm working for a legal office in the Coast Guard down here. And I'm doing 2 weeks of active duty for the Coast Guard. And it's been very cool so far. I've had some hands-on experience with, legal stuff in the Coast Guard. So it's kind of, mixing my old world with my new world, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Obviously can't dive into specifics too much, but
classified, confidential.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Aliens, yeah.
But it's been rewarding so far, and it's been a good experience.
That's awesome.
I've been here for over a week now. I started last Monday. We're recording on a Tuesday, so like I said, over a week now. Staying in a nice Homewood Suites. I got the works. I got a king bed. I got a couch. I got 2 TVs. Brought my PS4,
nice.
Switch.
Just no surround sound. No surround sound.
No surround sound. TV sound sucks ass. That is the biggest downside for sure. But yeah, it's been nice to be here and have an opportunity to do some meaningful work before school starts back up again. So I'm enjoying my time.
Nice break in the monotony, right?
Yeah. And it'll be nice when the paycheck rolls around. I won't deny it. So one caveat of living in a hotel is free cable, and I got to say, cable's pretty neat. Haven't had it in a while. Been watching some HGTV. Anna was down here for this past weekend, so we watched some HGTV together.
Yeah,
I know you're about the HGTV. I know you and Sarah are about it a little bit.
It's pretty good watches, man. There's HGTV's pretty awesome.
Some good stuff on there. I appreciate it. It's good. Sometimes it's good background noise. Sometimes it's just good frontground noise. To just watch and enjoy. I've also been enjoying some Flyers hockey. Playoff hockey has started. Lightning are doing well, if you've been tracking them. Flyers are up 3-1 as of today against the Canadians in the first round of the playoffs. So game away from sealing the series. I think Lightning are up 3-1 against Columbus. So I think they play maybe tomorrow, if I had to guess. So playoff hockey is cool. Playoff hockey is very cool. In terms of what, I haven't been watching a lot of movies actually, but Anna started rewatching. I am watching for the first time The West Wing, which is all on Netflix. Have you ever watched any of The West Wing?
No, negative. It's been around for a long time. It's an old show, isn't it?
I think in the late 90s is when it started, if I'm not mistaken. Ran for, I think, 7 seasons or so. It is awesome.
Awesome.
And it's nice to go. It's nice to have escapist White House entertainment, to get away from the quote-unquote entertainment that we have to deal with on a daily basis and have done so for a few years now. Yeah, it's written by Aaron Sorkin, created by Aaron Sorkin, who wrote things like The Social Network. His dialogue is just so snappy and so good. I love the way that it's written. The characters feel real. They feel authentic. And it's an interesting kind of cross-section of politics. And, politics, like I said, are a little different these days. And I don't mean just in terms of being partisan in the sense that, like, I don't like the things that these are doing. But there's a lot of kind of things are operating differently now than they have under previous administrations, Republican or Democrat. It's just things are fucking weird in the White House, and that's being nice about it. And so it's interesting to kind of see this traditionalist kind of lens of how the White House kind of operates day to day, and different roles of characters, of people, I guess, more or less within the White House. And it's an exceptional cast. Martin Sheen plays the president. Rob Lowe's in it. Allison Janney. Bradley Whitford. I'm already forgetting about some people in it that are great, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's one of those shows that I wanted to watch for a long time and just never gotten around to, but here I am.
Is President Sheen a good president?
President Sheen he's a pretty good president. He's a fun character. He usually comes in, here and there in the episode for a fun anecdote to kind of have like this kind of thing, this one thing that he does for the episode. And yeah, it's honestly really good. And it makes me yearn for some normalcy. I'll say that, definitely.
We're all yearning, I promise.
Yeah. Knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then New Girl. We've flown through season 4. We are into season 5 of New Girl.
Gotta be almost done, yeah.
Season 7, I think, is the final one, and I think that was a shortened season, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we're getting there. We're actually at an interesting point where Zooey Deschanel, who is the main character in it, was pregnant in real life, and so she is not appearing in the show for like a stretch of 5 or 6 episodes, and so they've brought in Megan Fox to kind of fill that void,
to be her sister or something.
It's not her sister. She's just this random girl who happens to just start living in the apartment because why not? And I made a comment to Anna, and she fully agreed with me, and she was very enthusiastic in doing so. And I'm like, is this a better show without Zooey Deschanel? And it's a How I Met Your Mother situation of the main character is kind of the worst character in the show. And the supporting cast is what makes it work really well. So it's actually been really nice not having her in it for a few episodes.
Oh, you're not a Zooey Deschanel fan?
No, she's fine. Her character is just annoying, and she's just the weakest character in the show. And it's never season 3 was kind of whack. I think a little bit. Season 4 was really a big return to form. Season 5 has been good so far, but it's just one of those. It's one of those weird sort of things where it's not a bad show. It's actually quite good, and I really enjoy it. But it's just a weird quirk of the main character just being kind of your worst aspect of it. So, I don't know. It's counterintuitive in a way, but it if you saw it, you'd kind of be like, yeah, probably, yeah, I get it. Last but not least, since I've been talking for a bit, I beat the DLC for Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's the fourth house that's living underneath the monastery, and no one noticed them for a while, but here they are.
The fourth house living, or are they living underground?
Yeah, there's three houses, but then there's a fourth house who lives in an underground city.
Are they blind? Are they pale? Are they? What's their?
They're outcasts of society. So they're criminals, and they're people that have been ostracized by their families and stuff like that. So yeah, they're a little weird, a little out there. I don't know. I don't think they're that pale, but anyway.
Do they have some cool fighters? Are they badass?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They have their own unique classes that you can use with them. So, it's all anime shit. So it's like, it's kind of dumb. You take it at face value and you're fine with it. But the DLC was, story-wise was, it was dumb. But the maps were pretty cool and you get some new areas to explore. So I enjoyed it. And yeah, some good stuff. Some good stuff in there for sure. Anyway, yeah, that's it for me. What have you been up to?
Well, I joined the Honda Club.
Oh, that's right.
I did.
So what did you acquire? Did you trade in something?
No. So, fun fact: COVID has absolutely skyrocketed the used car market. Car prices are absolutely fucking insane right now.
Really?
Wasn't
I guess everyone needs a car now or something?
No, it's not necessarily that. It's just there's such a low. I don't know if the quantity of new cars. I know new car manufacturers shut down for a little bit, so there wasn't a lot of new cars being made. But I don't know what's causing it, but the used car prices are incredibly expensive. Everything's through the roof. So I wasn't too impressed with the build quality of the Cadillac, so I took it to the auction rather than sitting on it and waiting to wholesale or trying to retail out of it and find somebody to buy it. I just I cleaned it up and took it to the auction, sold it, wholesaled it, and I got my payoff for it, which was nice. I got right out of that, and then I went and I bought a 2020 Honda Accord. So I got the 2.0 liter turbo, which is the bigger motor, and it's a touring. It's a pretty nice car. I like it. Like it a lot. It seems to ride real nice. It's one of those cars. I was always real impressed with your car. Every time I drove your car, believe it or not, yours was the nicest Honda I had ever seen.
Yeah. Which, for the listeners, it's a 2016 Honda Civic, which was the first year where they changed the Civic body style. I think they kind of revamped the car in a pretty dramatic fashion.
They did. And like I said, usually we see them at the sale because you don't see a lot of them at the auction. Not the auction I go to anyways. You do see Hondas roll through there, but usually they're just the base level Hondas, which are nice cars, don't get me wrong. But they're not loaded up and stuff, And I enjoyed driving your car and everything else. So this car here can be tame, and it gets really good gas mileage. It gets 35 miles a gallon. It's super efficient. Drives itself down the road. It's got cool features and whatnot. But then you can also put it in sport mode, and it's real engaging to drive. And that's cool. So I got a car and I think the build quality is substantially better than what the Cadillac was. It feels much tighter. It rides better. It's quieter. All around, it seems like a better car. So thoroughly impressed with it. Haven't had to make a car payment yet, but you know how that goes. So I got my A24 game in, my role playing Green Knight game.
Green Knight. Oh, before I forget, I did get a birthday present from you.
Did you?
Anna told me that it arrived today.
Nice.
There's a board game called War Chest, is that right?
That's right. It's kind of like a best way I know about it is it's or the best way I know to put it is it's like a more randomized kind of chess-like game. It's a 1-versus-1 game. I actually think you might be able to include more than 2 players.
Yeah, Anna said you could do either 1v1 or 2v2 type thing.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. But I had a lot of fun for the 2 hours I played it.
Okay.
And
very cool. I'm sure we'll check it out.
Yeah, I anticipate on getting that game too. So, what What else
Anyway,
have we
thank
done?
you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, happy birthday.
It was my birthday a few days ago, so if that wasn't apparent to the listeners, so thank you.
Yep,
Thank you. Anyway, Green Knight board game.
Green Knight board game.
Got it. Role-playing game.
I think yes, and I think that we should have a bonus episode where we, since we weren't able to watch the Green Knight, maybe we can play the Green Knight.
We can relive it ourselves.
We can live it ourselves, yeah. With maybe a few other people could join in on it, and it could be some fun for
other
bonus
people,
episode.
some alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. They're a little bit more involved in role-playing games, but they can be a lot of fun, I think. I've played a few of them. I always have a really good time playing them. What else have I been up to? This Is Us. We've been burning through a lot of This Is Us. I'm in the middle of season 2 now.
Right. Okay. Very cool.
It's a pretty awesome show. I really like it so far. Season 1 was outstanding. Very good television. And I don't watch a lot of like NBC stuff and whatnot, so this is definitely by far
more streaming service type things for us lately. Yeah.
So that's really good. What else have we done? Sarah had a birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Yep. Sarah got a GoPro from her dad. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. Cool.
For her, Sarah started class. So she is now. She's not She's not teaching yet. I think the kids come in next week. But she is working at the school now on a daily basis. So she's going back to work. But she's going to be working from online, which is comforting. And so we've been working hard on building, just trying to develop procedures and stuff. We taught her how to. We learned together how to do OneNote. I try to help her with that and how to use that effectively. So it's going to be a learning process for sure. So I've been helping her with that. What else have I been up to lately? Oh, Lord of the Rings. We started the Return of the King. So that's where we're at now. First part of the Return of the King we're in the middle of. We've been watching it. We've been watching the extended ones, and usually everybody works the next day, so we usually only get to watch half of each section, so half of each movie, I guess. So it's been a slow process, but it's definitely a good one. Definitely like me some Lord of the Rings. And shoot, man, I think that's really about it that I can think of, anyways. I've been up to a whole lot, just working and stuff, Yeah, I'm going on a charter this weekend, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Another fishing trip.
Cool. Get some more snapper, maybe? I don't know. Depends on where
snapper's out of season. So I think we're going to go grouper fishing, which I'm pretty cool.
Grouper.
I would like...
Yeah, grouper's pretty good.
Grouper's pretty damn good. I like grouper. Maybe we'll catch some. Maybe I won't get seasick this time. We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope so. But that's... started Weight Watchers. So my blood pressure when I went on vacation was super, super unhealthy high. It's like 151 over something. 151 over 110 is what it was. So I got on Weight Watchers. I've lost like 6 pounds, I think. 6 pounds now.
Nice. Good job. Congratulations.
Yeah. And the blood pressure has returned slightly higher than normal, but I will definitely take it. Yeah, definitely take it over where it was. And I think now that's it. That's all I've got.
Okay. Well, while you were talking, I realized that I actually completely forgot to put something on my list. This is something that I did while on vacation in Vermont, and that was I went for the first time that I can recall in my life to a drive-in cinema.
Oh. How was that?
Where I saw Grease, classic film. It was cool. We've said a few things about movie theaters reopening, and drive-ins have been kind of open for a while now, but I've never really been close enough to one to really experience it. And also, to be fair, when movie theaters were just open in general, didn't really have a whole lot of reason to go to them. But there was one maybe 10 minutes away from where we were staying, if that. It was a cool experience. It was a novel experience for me. Brought some beers, brought some snacks, set up shop in the back of the. Her friend drove, so it was SUV, which was nice, and Grease was great, very entertaining as always. Travolta's got some moves,
for sure.
You know, and yeah, it was the one that I wanted that time, is what I would say. I was trying to tie it in somewhere, and it was pretty lame. Forgive me.
No, that was good. That was
anyway,
a good pull.
anyway, yeah, it was good fun. So I enjoyed that. I think that's probably the only movie besides Project Power that I've watched in a while, though. So I'm racking my brain. I can't think of anything else. It's just been a lot of everything else, you might say. I think that's it for me. Anything else come to mind for you? Ready to
wrap her up?
Here?
We can wrap her up.
All right, let's wrap her up. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. Patreon. We are on Patreon. $2 a month gets you access to all of our bonus episodes, early access to all our regular episodes. Right now, we have the COVID-19 pandemic special, which we recorded a couple months ago and is still just as relevant as ever. So that's currently available on our Patreon if you want to pay the $2 and listen to that. We are slowly but surely working our way towards getting our next iteration of Studio Ghibli watched and recorded. So look forward to that. And I don't know, hopefully sometime soon. I keep giving time frames that end up not panning out. But I went on vacation. I'm working now. Andrew's always working. So, it's hard finding the time, but we'll find it eventually. So that's what's going on that front. Patreon.com/watch review repeat if you want to access our Patreon stuff directly. Our main website is watchreviewrepeat.com. We're on Twitter at WRRPod if you want to follow us there. You can search for us on Facebook and like our page. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions about Project Power, about any news we might have overlooked, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com is the way to go. Just send us something. We'll take a look, maybe talk about it next episode. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Next episode, technically right now, to be determined. We haven't really sat down and figured out what our schedule is going to look like. September is going to be busy, but we'll probably figure something out for the rest of August. At some point, that COVID-19 episode is going to go up on the regular feed. Again, I'm not going to make the same mistake and give promises on when it's going to come out. The one and only Ivan came out on Disney Plus. I don't know if that's any good, but maybe that's something we'll talk about. So I'm spitballing here mostly. We'll figure something out. We'll get something recorded and out to you guys. And we should be, I think, for the most part, back to a pretty regular recording and or release schedule from here on out. I think we can probably expect some stability on that front. So that's that. That's an episode of Watch Review Repeat. Thanks for coming back. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We will catch you on the next one. And Andrew will say to you,
take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Menge.